Welcome back to the Voice of College Football Miami channel. My name is Cam Underwood, managing editor of stateoftheu.com. Please come on over and fan with us. We're all Miami all the time, and we're always open. So stateoftheu.com, where you can read my words, Justin DeTavio, Craig T. Smith, many others, Michael McCoy. There's a plethora of great opinions, analysis, commentary shared for you guys there, always free. So please come on over there and fan with us. But thank you for being here with me as we talk about running back recruiting. Before we get into that, be sure that you like, subscribe, share the video, and hit the notification bell because we're doing all these videos more often. I don't know if this is coming out before or after, but Miami recently got a commitment from Javian Mallory, a running back from West Boca, a blue chip 4-star player committed to Miami in this class over Clemson, Alabama, and Florida. So that is a great get. You can watch that 20-minute video where I talk about him, where I also, sorry, excuse me, I had to mute my phone there. We watched film because you guys love that from a couple of the previous recruiting breakdowns. So go over there, watch that film. That's Javian Mallory film. So you can see him play, hear me discuss that, talk about some things, how he fits, all those different kind of things. While we were talking about him in specific at running back, I want to zoom out a little bit, go from the micro, the player, to the macro, overall Miami Hurricanes running back recruiting, because things have changed, right? And I will share and show you what I'm talking about. On stateoftheu.com a while ago, I shared where I wrote this piece where we talked about the numbers and needs in 2026. I've written this many a year, so if you're familiar with this, you know what we're talking about looking ahead of the recruiting class and seeing where Miami would allocate the resources for talent acquisition in terms of building the roster. I'm going to skip the preamble. We're going to go down to running back. Real simple. I said 2 running backs. You can pause and read the narrative there, but ahead of this recruiting year, this was my thought that Miami would be, I resized that, but going to recruit, get out of my way. 2 running backs in this class. There's the entire narrative. Again, you can pause to read everything that I wrote there. But long story short, it was that Miami needed 2 backs. From what we're seeing in terms of discussion of running backs, offers, official visits, unofficial visits, increasing conversation and connection, communication, we'll call that, and just new names continuing to pop up on the board. I am firmly of the belief now that Miami is looking at 3 running backs firmly in this class. Not 2 and a possible, but a firm 3. So I shared this on the Real Ones Canes podcast I do with Brian the Beast London and everything. And I asked this on Twitter previously. So let me drill down on how I got here from 2 to 3. Obviously, I started with 2. Then you start to see new names get reported all the time. You know and I know that we don't all know every single player that Miami is talking to, right? So it's okay and understandable if there's a new name here and a new name there, or there's a behind the radar or connection and communication, maybe with somebody who's committed somewhere else, maybe with somebody that you're trying as much as you can not to put rival teams on the scent of, so that you can start to build your recruiting lead or relationship before other teams really get accustomed to knowing that player. And while that's true, that we don't know everybody, and there always is going to be a measure of secrecy with the Mario Cristobal program, new names have continued to not only get out, but be pushed out, right? I love the On3 guys, that think that they do great work. I Gabby Urrutia was a State of the U contributor. When he was still in undergrad, getting his, his first interactions in like the world of recruiting and everything, and like going to events, and then like now he's like the lead guy for 247. I know him personally. I know that he does good work. You know what I mean? Because I helped build the foundation of it, what it is that he does. I say all that to say those people, whether it's Azubi Charles, Stephen Wagner, Gabby Urrutia, whomever in the world of recruiting, Steve Wiltfong, who's now on On3, but whether it's local, whether it's national, whatever, when those guys start having other names in their articles, on their podcasts, in their videos, that they're all of a sudden, putting feelers out there, they're getting that information from a source, ostensibly at Miami, right? And so there's been many, many new names that have really been talked about strongly. From my viewpoint, so like when you have all these additional names, that then says, okay, if there's only 2 seats, right, in this class, 2 spots, why all of the extra? And I understand there are people who were snarky with me on Twitter when I asked, oh, what's going on in recruiting? Oh, well, you don't know. I've been doing this for a long time, guys. I understand you got to offer more than you're going to get. I get it. But if you're really, really, really focused on Derek Cooper, the running back from Chaminade, 5-star, and Javian Mallory, who has since committed, if you're really firmly on those guys, the expansion of the board and the messaging of the expansion of the board wouldn't be what I've seen in my estimation. So the fact that there have been so many names with the fervor of the conversation, that smoke, if not a fire itself. On top of that, I've previously said that the quarterback room has a Jaden Rashada-sized hole in it because Florida lied and said that they were going to pay him $13.8 million to get him off of his Miami commitment. And then on the roster, there's a Jaden Rashada-sized hole right now because we had to take 2 program players in a row in Emory Williams and Judd Anderson, whereas in the Emory class, you would have had also a 4-star, almost 5-star Jaden Rashada. Boom. A similar hole exists in the running back room because we only took Gerard Pringle Jr. in the 2025 recruiting class. I'm not saying that to denigrate Pringle Jr. I think that he's a great get. I think he's a home run hitter, running back. He's incredibly fast. He's a touchdown waiting to happen. I love getting him. I want him on my team. I just think that we might have needed 2 running backs last year, especially when you take into account Damon Martinez left eligibility on the table to go to the NFL draft, as he should have. Chris Johnson Jr. and A.J. Allen, who were both starting caliber running backs, electing to go other places in search of more playing time, which is understandable because there's only 1 football and Miami had the number 1 offense in America and 5 starting running backs. Everybody's not going to be able to play. I get it. But when you have 3 guys leave and they still have eligibility on the table left, the way that you're sequencing your roster is a little bit different. And now it's been broken up, right? So you have the running back 2 hole in the room, and you have all of these new names popping up very strongly in conversation across, outlets near and far about their interest, about Miami's interest in them, about the visits that these players will take that are scheduled, things like that. That then tells me, yeah, Miami's really looking at 3 in this class. Oh, and I also forgot to mention Mark Fletcher Jr., your starting running back, can leave after this year, his 3rd year, to go to the NFL draft, which, if you have a strong year, is reasonable, if not understandable, because the life cycle of running backs in the NFL is very short. So now you put all of those factors together, right? A running back a recruit-sized hole from the 2025 class, not because Pringle isn't the business, because he is, just because we needed another body in that class. So the lack of a running back two, the removal of or the departures from Damian Martinez, AJ Allen, and Chris Johnson Jr., and the likelihood that Mark Fletcher will leave after this year, and the very strong conversations about all of these other running backs all of a sudden, on top of Javian Mallory and Derek Cooper, right? And again, I know there are other names as well. We're going to get to those in a second. But the proliferation of more names every single day, it almost seems. All of those four factors together now points me in the direction that Miami is looking strongly at taking 3 running backs in this class as opposed to 2, which was my earlier supposition. And as I wrote in the numbers and needs and tell people all the time, recruiting is a fluid construct. Things can and will change. This is something that I believe has changed, and I'm on record now twice on, because I didn't flesh this out on Twitter, but on the Real Ones Canes podcast. Again, you can find that anywhere podcasts are given away for free with my boy Brian London. I talked about that. I'm now doing this exclusive video here for you guys to talk about that, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper. So I showed you where I started at running back with my mentality or viewpoint in this recruiting class, where I now stand, how I developed from 2 to 3. And now let's look at some of the names, because I know you guys are like, Cam, you keep talking about all these names at running back. Who are you talking about? Okay, let me get to where I need to go. Cool. I'm over here. We're going to share yet another screen, courtesy of 247 Sports, the offer list. Now, some of these have been mentioned recently and others not. And I'm going to focus in on those who have been mentioned recently, although you can see the entire list here, or again, you can just go to 247 because it's right there. First of all, the third back on this list, Tredarian Ball from Texarkana, Texas. This is a city that straddles the line of Texas and Arkansas, hence the name Texarkana. There's an Arkansas high school on the Arkansas side and a Texas high school on the Texas side, so in Texarkana, Texas, as opposed to Texarkana, Arkansas. Committed to the University of Oregon. As we go here and pop out his individual player page, 5'10", 170, composite. He's a top 60 player in the country, number 4 running back, number 8 in the state of Texas. Get out of here. Committed to Oregon, has an official visit scheduled out there. But he has taken an unofficial visit. Oh, hey, if you look on the articles right here, the latest coming out of a strong visit weekend at Miami. Who was at Miami this weekend? Tredarian Ball. Track guy who's run 10.51 and 10.82 in the 100 as a sophomore. He hasn't posted his junior times because he is a current junior. But 1,300 yards basically and 12 touchdowns on 7 yards of carry running, 400 yards and 6 touchdowns receiving. He plays both receiver, slot receiver, and running back. His first 2 or 3 plays of his highlight are actually at slot receiver. And then you can see the freshman numbers there as well. This is an explosive player, a very explosive player. Oh, and he took an unofficial visit during the season to Miami. What game was that for? Let's go look. Because I don't remember the schedule. October the 26th. Oh, of course, Florida State. So you'll see this October 26th unofficial visit date for a lot of guys. I think Ben Congdon was down for that. Obviously, Tredarian Ball. If you could, October 26th, October 26th. Sorry for clicking around so quickly. I will try to refrain from doing that. But yeah, this is a guy who's on the list of running back targets, guys with offers that the name has now been in the space more and more recently. Skipping down, Deshaun Rideau, he was spoken about earlier when the defensive lineman committed from last class. Javian Osborne, This is another one because I said all of the Javians. I remember I made that tweet on Twitter because Javian Mallory. This is another player who I've heard or seen the name reported multiple times from Forney, Texas. He's another guy projected to Michigan right now. Oh, hey, look, an official visit to Miami on May the 30th. Interesting, right? Number 6 running back in the country, top 85 in the country, presently on the composite. We'll see which way that goes. 5'10", 195, an Under Armour All-American. High volume workhorse with huge production as a sophomore, says Gabe Brooks. What was his sophomore? Oh, 2,200 yards and 39 touchdowns on 7.7 a carry. Hello. That'll work. So, I mean, yeah, newcomer of the year with 1,000 yards as a freshman in 23. Don't know what his numbers were like in 24. I could look them up, but I don't want to splash, different kind of things in your face again on this video. But again, this is a very productive back who has an official visit scheduled to Miami. He also has official visits to Georgia, Notre Dame, and Michigan, who, as I scroll back up slowly, you will remember Michigan being the projected leading team on the crystal ball with one prediction at this time. But he's another player whose name has been on the board recently, who has an official visit scheduled. Jay Lamar from Colquitt County, Georgia, 6'2", 205. Leading candidates are Georgia because always he's committing on the 4th of July. Good for him. On the composite, again, top 100 player, number 7 running back in the country. This is a big physical kid. Look at the official visit list. Auburn, Miami, Florida State, Georgia. Not in that order, but these are big teams going after this player. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I could probably find them. I'll go off camera for 1 second just to pull them, but you'll see exactly what I'm talking about in terms of his. All right, and we are back, and we switch over. I need to switch my presentation tab. Give me 1 second. I thought I switched it already. Jay Lamar, or his full given name, Ty Javion, in his junior year, 24, 885 yards on 8 yards a carry with 11 touchdowns, 172 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns in 12 games. So 1,000 yards in 12 games. A little bit down production-wise from his previous season, but if I go over to Colquitt County's football, team, you'll see this is a lot of clicks. You should be able to get here quicker, Max Preps. 8-4. And then they lost in the playoffs to Collins Hill, who I believe eventually lost to Luke Nickel on the way to a state championship game or state championship. But this is another guy who's real big, real physical, that, teams like, and I mean, Georgia, arguably the best recruiting team in the world right now, they want him to play for them. Yeah. And again, 6'2", 205, those running backs at the high school level do not grow on trees. Now, if you're like, okay, well, Javian Mallory is 5'11", 205, very similar, yeah. But this is another explosive athlete at the position. There are a couple more that I want to show you just to nail the point down a little bit further. Favor Aki from Delaware, Ohio. He's a kid who has an offer and a visit, 4-star in the composite, top 205 in the country. O-State, USC, and Miami officials, like, even if you're looking at the 247 ranking, be like, oh, 3-star. That's real rarefied air in terms of recruiting. So I think maybe he's pretty decent. This is another guy, yeah, he has one to Pittsburgh also apparently on the list. Okay, cool. But yeah, this is another player. I know it says only 128 in 23, but this is another player that has been talked about extensively recently for Miami, who has an official visit on the books at running back. And then last on the list for right now, Henry Olinger, big back, 6'1", 210 from Columbus, Grandview Heights in Ohio, number 23 running back, 307 in the country on 247 composite. Again, Rutgers, Boston College, Indiana, and Miami official visits. Obviously the teams pursuing him along with Miami, maybe a step down from what we saw from Favor Aki. But this is a big back, 6 foot 210 or 6'1", 210, who is on, his name has been out there. He has an official visit scheduled and is yet another player at this key position in this recruiting class for Miami who's now on the board. So I know if you're thinking, wait, Cam. I was looking on that list as you scrolled, and I didn't see Derek Cooper. Technically on 247 right there, he's listed as an athlete. So shout out to Magic Johnson for that pronunciation, by the way. Wow. But he's listed as an athlete, so don't worry about him not having an offer. Plus the fact, a star player from Chaminade Madonna, look, you got an offer. Even if I didn't say you got an offer, you got an offer. So all of that put together with all of those different names, and I should have left that. Oh, I did leave it open for me. So again, that's Henry Olinger, and Javian Mallory is committed, so fine, you count him as well. Henry Olinger, Javian Mallory, Favor Key, Jay Lamar, Javion Osborne, and Tredarian Ball would make 6. Derek Cooper was scrolled all the way down to athlete, just to be sure. And you know what? Because I know sometimes people are going to say, well, you didn't show it, so it's not true, and blah, blah, blah. Here you go. Derek Cooper, Chaminade Madonna, with an offer. Boom. Y'all see it? Good. So that's 7 players, including Cooper, right now on that list. And again, it's not that Miami's looking at these guys. It's not even that they're offered scholarships, because some are conditional offers, some are camp offers, this offer is conditional upon you taking an unofficial visit and things like that. But if you're only looking for 2, pushing for all of those official visits is a little overkill, right? Especially when your top 2 targets, ostensibly in Mallory and Cooper, are local guys. But you're going out of your way to bring in a Tredarian Ball and go, try to get him up off of that, that Oregon commitment, so you can use him as an offensive weapon. Maybe you're trying to get a Favor a key because, 247 has him lower rated and everything. But you're like, State and USC want this kid. Like, he's a known baller, right? Maybe it's Henry Olinger. Okay, well, Rutgers, Boston College and Indiana, we can out recruit him for a big back. We're going to lose our big back more likely than not in Mark Fletcher going to the league. All those things put together, again, inform my viewpoint changing, my paradigm shift over what Miami is looking for at running back in this class. Not in terms of the quality of player, but in terms of the number of recruits. So that whole video, all of that discussion, TLDR, too long didn't read or didn't watch. I used to believe Miami was looking at taking 2 running backs in this class. I'm firmly now of the opinion that Miami will be taking 3 running backs in the 2026 recruiting class. Now, do you have a favorite running back? Do you have one that you don't want? Do you just want to take the Florida boys in Cooper and Mallory and everybody else can kick rocks? Share your thoughts and comments or thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. We'll check back in with this and more recruiting topics and more Miami Hurricanes topics here on the Miami channel here at the Voice of College Football. Again, my name is Cam Underwood. Please come on over to stateoftheu.com and fan with us, myself, and a great crew of contributors leading the way in terms of commentary and analysis. And be sure that you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell right here on this channel for more great videos about Miami Hurricanes football coming up soon.